Fantasy sports fans, listen up. Did you know that your chances of winning on draft are 80% better than on salary cap sites? That's right, 80%. That's why draft is my favorite fantasy site. No more getting crushed by the pros, and it's not just me. More than 1 million people that have already downloaded Draft 2. Play in a real live NBA draft right now. Be done in under 5 minutes and get paid out the very next day. Drafts are filling up every second, so you can join one whenever you want. All new players get a free entry into a real money draft when you make your first deposit, but you have to use my promo code B2B. That's B number 2B. That's right, play in a real money draft for free just by using my promo code B2B. But it gets even better. Draft is so sure you'll love it that they're even offering back-to-back listeners a money-back guarantee of up to $100. Just search Draft in your app store or go to draft.com and come play free right now with promo code B2B. Coach, we breaking news, Kyrie's out for the rest of the season.
No.
Yeah.
Zach, you there?
Yeah, we have broken news, right? Not breaking news.
Broken news. Broken news, like an egg.
Morning, gentlemen.
This is a emergency Thursday breaking news report. Zach Harper Narowski is reporting that Kyrie Irving's out for the year.
I am. I've looked at my Twitter feed, and I can confirm that those tweets were sent out.
So this is the Thursday Nerd Brigade, but we had to bring in our correspondent, our knee correspondent, to bring in an analysis on Kyrie news, because this isn't good. This is not good. One of the biggest stars in the NBA, on court, off court, whatever, going to be out for the rest of the postseason. According to Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN, he had a knee procedure and he's out for the rest of the year. Does this change things in your mind for the Eastern Conference playoffs? What's your biggest takeaway other than get well soon?
Now we're going to see some more tanking, right? We're going to see tanking for the 7th seed, because this is the exact opponent you want in the first round. You don't want Cleveland, you don't want Philly, and you don't want Toronto. You want to face the broken Celtics and make Terry Rozier prove that he's been untouchable for a reason this whole time. And so
Miami's 43-36. Milwaukee's 42-36, and Washington is 42-36. Indiana can't get there, I don't think. No. They're 46-32. So you have 3 teams: Miami, Milwaukee, your Milwaukee Bucks, and the Washington Wizards, all within a half game of each other. They can either finish 6th and play Philly or Cleveland, 7th and play Boston, or 8th and play Toronto.
Well, this is what you kind of wanted in the first place anyway, if you were toward the back end of that playoff picture, is that we all thought that Kyrie Irving was going to be back at some point, but not necessarily for game 1, right? Like, we didn't really know when he would be back. So it wasn't like you were going to get a full strength Kyrie Irving anyway, but the threat of him coming back maybe made you a little uneasy. And now you just have to, it just looks like a first round buffet. Like, you just want to eat as much as possible.
We're going to find out tomorrow night. The Heat are playing the Knicks at the Garden. Ooh, what do you do?
There's no way they. I know Brad Stevens has been fantastic. I know this team has been resilient, and they have a lot of good role players, and guys have stepped up in his absence. But that's random regular season stuff. Game planning 7 games for this team now becomes so much easier.
Right. Of course, Coach. Yeah, how do you do this? Like, how do you as the Celtics? I guess you rally around this, right? Just rally on the fact that we've won without Kyrie Irving and we can win going forward.
They've got with Rozier at the 1. I don't even know if Marcus Smart's coming back, but they've got
not for another couple
lineups
weeks.
Where is he expected to come back?
Possibly in the next couple weeks, but not. I don't think they're expecting him for this round, the first round.
They've got, listen, what Zach said is right. We talked about it during the pod about, we've talked about it a lot of times in pods about the postseason is just so different because you can lock in on one opponent. But they've got an amazing, probably the best defensive lineup is Tatum and Morris and Horford and Baines with Rozier at the 1. And so they're going to have to win with defense. That squad is not a great offensive squad, but it's a incredible defensive squad. And I think they gave up like 81 points per 100 possessions with that group. And but still, because the other team can also lock in on you and take away your top actions with their best counters more frequently than you saw during the regular season. Now that's where Kyrie's one-on-one brilliance comes through as a playmaker. Rozier just can't touch that. So I just think I don't think it's necessarily smart to tank for that spot. I get it. I totally get it. But there's risk to that. There's only a few games left anyway. I think the bigger thing is Boston. They're not going far. Can they win a series? Yep, that's probably about it. So really, Toronto has got to lock up the 1 seed, and you would think Cleveland is so hell bent on making sure they're third. To me, it's not about that first round; it's the second round, Philly versus Cleveland, to get Boston 2 versus 3, right?
I mean, Zach's absolutely right. Is the playoffs are a different ballgame. And getting Jason Tatum, is he 13? Did he turn 13 yet, Zach?
Did you know he's still a teenager? I don't know if anyone's heard, but Jason Tatum's young.
Is he as many years old as LeBron is in the league? 15? Is he 15?
That's a great question. Yeah, I think they're right in line. I think he was born the day LeBron started.
It's going to be hard for Jason Tatum to kind of get up to speed for the playoffs, as now it seems like he's going to have to be their number one guy offensively, or Rozier, or whatever it is. But look, they're not going to be an easy out with Brad Stevens, as you know, Zach. I am a big Brad Stevens fan, but they are 12-6 without Kyrie Irving, so it's not like they've fallen apart without him. So I don't expect them to fall apart without him in the playoffs. But if they go against Milwaukee, who's your Bucks, or Miami,
well, that's the thing. It's just like, I think you can survive stretches, right? Like you can have Tatum get hot for a quarter. You can have Jaylen Brown do quite a bit offensively and be more of a playmaker. You can have Terry Rozier, kind of just be this downhill pick and roll attack guy. Like Greg Monroe could, maybe get a bucket or two off the bench. Like you can have these little moments that are fine, but if they're matching up against, and granted, he hasn't been that healthy and he just got back, but if you're matching up against John Wall, right? Or you're matching up against Giannis Antetokounmpo, like, I know we love team basketball and hero ball's the devil and all this stuff, and I believe in all that, but there is a certain part of the postseason where it's like, I need the star to go get me buckets for the next 4 minutes. I need a focus on offense to draw the attention of the defense and make it easier for other guys. And now Boston doesn't have that. And that was the beauty of Kyrie Irving. Like, obviously, they're an amazing defensive team, and they can do some things offensively when he's on the court. But without that, you just don't have that overwhelming stretch of, like, the next 6 minutes, my star is going to carry me. And I think that stuff matters so much, and it matters more than the team play when you
in the regular season.
Yeah. When you get into these moments in the postseason, like, you just have to have that focus.
How about this? How about the race for that third spot? I think Cleveland and Philly are tied. They play each other. Philly's got Dallas at Atlanta, Milwaukee last game of the season. Cleveland has the Knicks the last 2 games. I don't know that LeBron can sit. He might be playing all 82 for the first time in his career.
You're to get into that bracket, and
not get any extra rest because they want to finish. Those teams really want the 3rd seed now, without question. Maybe they did too, I guess.
What about his long-term health? Anybody concerned there?
Yeah, so I wanted to talk about this. Is the guy's had knee problems. As we know, he broke his kneecap a few years ago in the finals. And the juxtaposition of him and what they're doing with him versus what they did with Isaiah Thomas is an interesting one last year. Is that Isaiah Thomas played through injury, and it may or may not have been his call. But that now Kyrie Irving there, after being kind of like iffy for the last couple of weeks. I mean, I think Brad Stevens just the other day was talking about how he was in good spirits and that he's showing progress. Today's news is that he's out, and they're shutting him down and saying, you know what, we're going to take care of this now. And then next year, when Gordon Hayward is going to be back, presumably, and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are going to be a year older, That's when we're going to prepare for. And I think that's the smart move. Obviously, they're consulting they have a new trainer, a new strength and conditioning coach. They have new staff to make this call here. Probably not their year. They probably just said, you know what, this is it. But Kyrie Irving, for a guy who relies so much on his quickness, quick twitch, and his footwork and all this stuff, are you guys concerned long-term about this beyond just any average player in the league?
What's the injury?
A knee injury.
But we don't know what it is.
Not exactly. No.
Oh no. Until
Zach, am I wrong?
That's the concerning thing to me, is that this was supposed to be non-invasive and a minor surgery and kind of just a cleanup, and for it to have this reaction, like, granted, we don't know what the reaction is. We don't know why all of a sudden they're saying, nope, you're done, shutting you down. But this was also maybe Jason Lloyd or Joe Varden, one of those guys, reported a while ago that, or maybe it was in Brian Windhorst, I can't remember, but someone reported that this was an injury, this knee surgery was something they knew about. Yes. I think before the season, right?
Yeah.
Of he's going to have this at some point. And the fact that they just kind of let it go, and maybe I'm just more, I don't know, proactive or conservative about this stuff in some way. But to me, it's man, if you need to have the surgery, go get the surgery and get healthy and then go figure things out.
Well, Danny Ainge did say that he'll probably have to get this surgery sooner or later to fix what in his left knee, the patella injury from 2015. So I don't know. I guess 2 weeks ago, Matt Dollinger of SI.com, just reading this report, there was a minimally invasive procedure on his knee that revealed that the fractured patella that Irving suffered in 2015 has completely healed, and his knee is structurally sound overall. And then now he's shut down 2 weeks later. So I don't know. I don't know what happened there, but you got an injury.
The key, though, for him, he's not a great athlete, Tom. That doesn't make your point wrong. He's maybe the single most skilled guy we have at that position. It's close. Great shooter, of course. Brilliant change of direction, change speed.
His footwork is unreal.
Yeah,
and just his handle, the control. But here's where it gets important. You can't be as non-athletic as Kyrie Irving is and still be great without amazing coordination, balance. He ain't falling all over the place making those kinds of moves. That is at risk now. So that's where we have to. Steph Curry, you could say similar things. When Steph really developed his balance is when he started getting a lot healthier. With Kyrie, it's something we have to watch, because if he is going to lose his balance, his coordination in his herky-jerky stuff that he does, again, he's not breaking land speed records with it. He's just getting you to fall over. And if he falls over too, he's dead. So that's what we have to watch out for. It's not although he also can't lose what little athleticism he has. I don't think that'll be the case so much unless it's a more significant injury than we're aware of. He's going to have to get his balance and coordination back to the very elite level status that it is now. And then his craft should be the same. And he's not going to be able to work on his lower body for a while. So it's going to be a bit to get back. Right. But he'll be dribbling every day and all that kind of stuff. I'm not a doctor. And until a doctor can tell me exactly, I have friends that are, my brother is. Once we know exactly what it is, I'll ask them. But just even for the short term, you can project that it's going to be a bit for him to get back what he is now, which was one of the harder guys to guard in the world.
Coach, I almost wonder, if granted this guy was more athletic than Kyrie, but if he can kind of look at the way Manu Ginobili has aged, because Manu Ginobili is very similar in that he's like herky jerky, right? Correct. And if he can find similarities in the way Manu kind of maintained and improved his body over decades of playing, if there's a pathway to kind of keeping that quickness and keeping that balance in that way.
And maybe he is and was on that pathway. Obviously, sure, Manu still gets hurt, right? But actually, it's a great overall point. It's where I think the league is the best it's ever been by an enormous factor. Is these guys are healthier than they've ever been in terms of their eating habits, their sleeping habits, their drinking habits, their rest habits year round. They're just I mean, I've been doing this with NBA guys for almost 20 years now, and they're just light years ahead of all those kinds of focuses. And I think teams also are so much smarter about it. What they're feeding these guys, how they're demanding rest, their performance, the performance guys that I've been using to work with my pros who are now working with, like my son and his teammates. They're just so much better. When they first work with you on jumping, they don't work with you on jumping. They work with you on landing correctly. They're so into injury prevention. So my guess is he's already been doing a lot of that, which is good. When you go in for heart surgery, you're better off being in good shape before you go in for the surgery to begin with. So same thing with knee injury. You go in for knee injury or knee surgery, you're better off already being as balanced and coordinated and as fit as you can be. Your recovery time will be faster, and your chance for a better return is better. So my guess is he's already got a lot of that done. But yeah, this is a sobering reminder to him as a man, as a person, how fallible again he is, and it's not going to get easier as you get older. It gets harder. My guess is he's going to have a hell of a resolve to get back to exactly where it was, and maybe even try to get better.
So you bring up a good point about how science has raised the bar for everybody. Just in today's NBA, injury prevention, sports science, et cetera. What people miss about it is just because it's available doesn't mean that like people are going to get healthier and better, because it's a competitive sport. Everybody has access to this stuff now.
Right.
And so it's become so much harder to get by just like going 95% in terms of rehab and all that stuff. The game is so fast. There are so many more possessions now than there used to be. Players are so much stronger, quicker, quote unquote healthier, that it's going to be that much harder for Kyrie to get back to that position before. And looking at the report from Woj is that there was a quote unquote tension wire that was removed in the knee procedure on March 24th. So that was 2 weeks ago. The wire had been placed in his knee during surgery to repair a fractured patella in 2015. So whatever removal or the fragment, the piece that they removed from his knee, it hasn't gone well since. I don't know if there's been an additional knee scope or whatever, but this is not a good thing for Kyrie Irving, no matter how you slice it. No pun intended.
Yeah.
I just know that it's going to be harder for him to get back to where he was, simply because everyone else is going to have an off season of rehab, of training and getting better. And it's going to be hard for him to maintain those skills when he's laid up.
Yeah. And you just hope that when he comes back, like everything's working, like his jumper doesn't become as flat as this earth, right? Like you want to make sure that everything's good.
God, if you're so Tom is I got that, Zach. I knew right away what he was doing. Tom, we talked about shortening the schedule. You wonder if a blue blood like Boston, if their fans won't start clamoring for this examination,
right,
when 2 years in a row it's happened to them, right? That it's not going to be a bunch of Charlotte fans complaining or Pelicans fans. It's going to be a blue blood Lakers, Celtics, where, hey, we'll play 10 less games a year if you tell us our best fucking scorer is going to play in the playoffs. I wonder if that won't have a difference. You think?
Well, you bring up a great point, because I think the great ratings that the NBA had earlier this season were buoyed by the fact that the Boston Celtics were good again, and Kyrie Irving is a star player doing well.
Yeah, right. Well,
this is going to be interesting to see if, because we talked about it with Arnovitz. This is like Lost. We're like going back in time, but no one's going to make any wholesale changes to the schedule, or it's going to be a bunch of tweaks until the owners see the bottom line that this is going to be hurting their wallets, right? And
right.
If Kyrie Irving is not starting and instead it's Rozier, and people aren't going to watch, then that's when it starts hurting the bottom line, is when you have all these stars, Joel Embiid, Jimmy Butler, LeBron's healthy, but Porzingis, all these stars that are out of the game. If it's not hurting the bottom line, then nothing's going to get changed. So I'm curious to see how the ratings check out for the Boston Celtics without a star player, no Gordon Hayward, no Kyrie Irving, what that does for just ratings in general. Because earlier this season, the Boston Celtics being great again with a star player like Kyrie Irving, that was a huge thrust for the league ratings. People cared about the Celtics.
Well, Tom, I wonder. I do wonder with that. Like, will they be able to see the forest through the trees? Right? Like, will the owners be able to put together all those little moments, or if it's just this isn't affecting my team,
right?
I don't care. Like, I kind of think like. I wonder how much of this accumulation has to happen in order for all of the owners to come together enough to believe, yeah, maybe we do need to do something about this.
Again,
and I just doubt. And I doubt that, right?
Yep.
Like I really doubt that that's going to happen. I could be 100% wrong on that, but it's just I don't see. We have so many examples of owners looking like idiots with their own team and not knowing that they're looking like idiots with their own team over the years and over the decades. That like I never look at someone like James Dolan, who granted isn't in this conversation because we're talking about the playoffs, but I don't look at someone like James Dolan and go, yeah, he's definitely going to get this.
I think that's the single biggest thing of LeBron being so durable is that right there.
Yeah.
I think we're spoiled by LeBron, and until he is everywhere, every year he is there. And until he's not, I don't think owners are going to really care because LeBron James is creating an entire business just by playing. It's very hard for me to believe that owners would collectively say, you know what, these injuries thing, we got to do something about it.
So it's really going to have to be like a post Michael Jordan type thing, right? Like maybe none of this gets resolved until LeBron's out of the picture.
But won't it just be, to me, it's because someone's going to do a PowerPoint presentation where they're going to be able to show, here's how much money we're making on average with an extra, let's call it 5 home games, okay? 82 game schedule, 5 extra home games instead of a 72 game schedule. And here's what our ratings have been these last few years when all these superstars are out. And here's what our ratings would look like if these guys played. And here's the probability that they will play in 10 less games, which is 30 less games over 3 years, by the way, and 50 over 5, right? And here's what we can sell in ads, knowing what those ratings will be. Is once that number is higher than that first number, which is the 5 home playoff games, that's what I think the owner's like, okay, because whatever makes more money was what they'll do.
Yep. Maybe an entertaining as hell tournament kind of offsets that. Is that if you actually have?
What about now that I follow a couple of different sports globally, I never understood what all these different cup games were in basketball. And I have a player in Spain. Oh, I got a big derby game. Like, what the hell's a derby game? Well, it's a cup game with 2 local teams. And then in soccer, of course, you have 3 different cup games. We could do the same damn thing. Hell, we can even throw the G League in there if we wanted to, right? We could just make it up. Put a cash prize on there so everyone wants to play, sell it for a ton of money, and make up for an extra few games. And we could also have a rule where you have to, the opponent gets to choose the players. Well, actually, we can't do that because they'll want the stars to play. But sit your top 3 guys or whatever. So now you're developing your players and making money. There's lots of things you could do to make up for it.
Yeah, I mean, is that something where that becomes more of an option once the G League is fully fleshed out as a true minor league? Yeah, right. And and the NBA gets more and more involved with these, essentially these youth basketball academies.
Yeah, that's a scary thought separately, but you could do a 24 and under tournament. You could do an under 22 tournament.
Yeah, for sure.
With your G League team or under 23 with your G League, that'd be amazing. And I think fan bases would love it. They get to see the role players in starring roles who were in starring roles the year before in college or in Spain. And I think it would enhance their development, make money, and draw interest and make players better, which is what you want.
Thanks, Zach, for the emergency pod appearance.
Yep.
Hopefully I never have to come back on for knee injury news again.
Right.
How are your knees, by the way?
My knees are never good. My knees have been terrible since I was 16.
Wait, what are you now, like 24?
36.
How old are you, Zach?
I'm 36.
You don't even begin to complain about your knees, man.
Here we go. Here we go. It is no longer the dad
It's like
pod, so we pile on Zach for being young.
It's just, yeah.
Back-to-back pod listeners, I got a deal for you. Buying tickets to sports and concerts can be complicated and confusing, but there is a better way to buy it with SeatGeek. SeatGeek is the smartest, easiest way to get tickets to every type of live event, whether you're searching for a last-minute deal, planning a night out, or you need to find the perfect gift for your girl or your guy. SeatGeek is there to help you find the best seats at the best prices, fully guaranteed. There's nothing quite like seeing your favorite team or musician in person, and SeatGeek will get you closer to the action for a great value. I have the SeatGeek app on my phone, and it's by far the easiest way I've found to shop for tickets. I can be anywhere, and with just a few taps, I can instantly find seats. I actually just used SeatGeek to buy tickets for my friends to see LeBron in the flesh. It was so easy. It was like LeBron open court with a guy under the basket and then Kevin Love in the corner. Yeah, it's as easy as that. So SeatGeek is super nerdy. It's in the title, geek, and it saves time and money by searching for multiple ticket sites to compare prices and find amazing deals. It's color-coded. You don't have to do the math. I don't have to get out my well-worn calculator. I don't have to do all that stuff. It does the hard work for me. SeatGeek grades every ticket based on value to help you immediately identify the best seats that fit your budget, and every purchase is fully guaranteed, so you can shop for tickets on SeatGeek with confidence. Make SeatGeek your go-to app for finding the best deals on every type of ticket, from sports to concerts to comedy and theater. So, all my listeners here on the Back-to-Back pod, you get $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase. Just download the SeatGeek app and enter promo code B2B. That's B, the number 2B. Promo code B2B for $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase. Go geek out with me. This is the Thursday Nerd Brigade show. This is the Nerd Pod. We have, as always, Coach Throrpe. Welcome. How's your Thursday?
Glorious.
Are you tank topped yet? Is it tank top weather yet?
It's always tank top weather here. Yes, I think it's going to be in the 80s, but right now it feels 70s and sunny and beautiful. Yeah, windows and doors are open.
Speaking of tank top, we're going to be talking about tanking and who's on top of the tanking, guys. That voice you hear over there, that lovely NPR-trained voice, is our friend, former colleague, Kevin Arnovitz. Actually, you know what? I'm going to still call you a colleague because of the Pack Your Knives podcast. How you doing, Kevin?
I'm well. How are you?
I am good. I'm wondering, is it Greek yogurt this morning? How do you prepare your yogurt?
This is a Greek yogurt splash of sprouted granola.
Sprouted granola? Explain that.
I don't know. They say it's healthier, so I do it.
Kevin, are you not doing matzah?
Oh, hell no.
Wow.
I am not about the unleavened experience. I like leavened. I'm leavened to 365 days. You know, the funny thing is I'm such a carbophobe that I think I don't know that I've broken Passover. All I do is eat meat and greens and yogurt and eggs, so I'm probably okay.
Yeah.
Eggs. Speaking of eggs, speaking of the snake, Kevin made the most delicious scrambled eggs I've ever had, and his secret is extra yolk, as in don't just do egg whites. Actually, remove a little bit of the egg whites because the egg yolk is where all the flavor's at, and it was delicious for all those listeners out there.
He is wise.
Philly. Guys, 76ers have a wonderful chef in-house. They're playing their asses off, even without Joel Embiid. Kevin, you've been with the Warriors, the 76ers for a long time this season. Are we supposed to believe that they are true Eastern contenders? I know that's arbitrary, but I feel like I'm ready to pick them to come out of the East. I am a recency bias observer. I understand it, but they are playing really great basketball, even without Joel Embiid. The Cavs are the Cavs. The Raptors, I'm not so big on their ability to get all the way to the finals. I think the 76ers are in that conversation, and I'm almost willing to pick them. Am I crazy, Kevin?
No, let me ask you a question. So in general, is the full 82 game schedule a better predictor of playoff success than, quote, since the All-Star break? I mean, that would be my question, because
yes.
the Sixers are the best team in the league since the All-Star break, according to net rating, top 5 offense and defense. And if we believe that the most recent, it's not recency bias if it's not a bias, right? Like, is that a better predictor traditionally to say to look at playoff success than the full season?
Yeah, so I did this study for Insider a couple years ago where the last 10 games of the season are actually less predictive.
Yeah,
than
I knew the last
10
but what about like the last half? Like, is there a point in which you could say, actually, if you lop off the first X games, we have a better idea of a team's viability in the postseason?
I want to say that the larger sample size is more predictive than just the All-Star break, because there's so many confounding factors there with teams tanking or with teams resting their stars heading into the postseason and giving just a little bit of rest for guys coming in. So I want to look at All-Star break, post All-Star break. I don't have that data offhand. Maybe Kevin Pelton does, the machine. But what I'm seeing from the 76ers is an amazing, let's just forget about Joel Embiid's injury right now. Their starting lineup is a juggernaut, Kevin.
Yes.
I'm sure you know this, but they are plus 21 this season net rating. So 21 points. They're beating opponents every 100 possessions over something like 600 minutes. That starting lineup with Saric, JJ Redick, Ben Simmons, Embiid, and Rocco. Right. The only team in like the last 15 years with a plus 20 net rating in 500 minutes or more is last year's Golden State Warriors starting lineup.
Yeah, I mean,
what do we do with that?
Yeah, I mean, this is what I really like about Philadelphia. I mean, first of all, I really like the defense and the amount of length they put on the floor and the flexibility and adaptability of that defense and the personnel. And you have an octopus at the point guard that you can stick on whichever perimeter player you please. They protect
or post player.
Yeah, or exactly.
Or anybody.
Right, like anybody. You know, they protect Redick when he is guarding the point. Like, I mean, obviously Embiid might be Defensive Player of the Year. But then I also like that what's very cool about them, and I got a chance to talk to Brett Brown 2 days ago at length, and one of the things I was asking was they're a very hard team to classify offensively. And I mean that is in a good way, in the sense that if you want to play a speed game and it's all about the pass ahead and just kind of get into early offense, check, they can do that, right? Like, you want to do a very conventional, hey, we've got the probably most devastating post player in the league. We can do that. We can play a half court game because we have the consummate half court player. You want to just run basic continuity? Well, sure, we can do that, and we have these sort of you have these versatile parts. We have guys like Saric. I mean, Covington is, is comparatively useful. We have shooting all over the floor. We've got guys like Ersan Ilyasova and Marco Bellinelli now. We've got guys you can run actions off of, off ball all stuff like Redick. I mean, we can, in other words, they can be whatever they want to be at a given stretch of possessions. I mean, they defensively, they can, hey, let's put TJ McConnell on your opposing point guard for 6 possessions straight at 72 feet away from the basket and just kind of turn this like game into this weird press for 2.5 minutes and completely disrupt you. Like, they just have a lot of tools, and I don't know that they're the best at any one of those things. But I do know that, like, no matter how the game evolves over 48 minutes, that the Philadelphia 76ers have a version of their own to match whatever it is you want to turn the game into. And fast, slow, big, small, perimeter-oriented, motion-oriented, one-on-one orient. I mean, hey, you need to play straight up one-on-one with 6 seconds left in the shot clock. Okay, like, they can do it all. And I don't think they're the best. They're not the Warriors in the sense that they can dominate you at all those events. But in the Eastern Conference, like, I can't make a case against you, Tom, that say they're a decisive underdog against anybody, given what I said.
I can.
Okay. Oh, because they're young.
I wouldn't just say young. Obviously, this is. I mean,
they green.
I'm going to say is rocket science here, but I'm a big believer that in the world's best league, you have to go through a considerable amount of pain and anguish to ultimately survive and win a championship. And here, my simple thought process is this: the postseason for Ben Simmons is going to be a fucking blast. He's going to He's going to go to practice. He's going to have a great time in games. And let's say Embiid too. Let's assume he's totally healthy, which is maybe not a fair assumption. I don't know. And they're going to try hard. They're going to really compete. And the next day after the game, they'll go to practice and they'll go about their day. And the guys in Houston and the guys in Toronto, those are two teams anyway, are going to grind all fucking day and night. They'll have their moments with their family and friends, but they're going to be on lockdown because they know all too well the incredible pain and anguish of losing. Chris Paul knows it really, really well. So does James Harden. And I just think that's what Dirk Nowitzki went through and Kevin Garnett went through and LeBron James went through and on and on and on. Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, all of them. That's the postseason is such a different animal. Forget about the most obvious thing of all, which is over the course of 82 games in the regular season, and obviously both you guys know this extremely well, teams are not doing that much day in, day out. They're kind of doing what they do with very small changes going forward because they'll confuse their guys. There's too many games in too little time. In the postseason, when you can just lock in on one team, you can do so much more, both with what you want to run and what you want to do to defend what the other team is running. And so Philly's weaknesses will be far more exploited, and their opponents, especially in those final rounds, semis and finals probably, those opponents will be so much more focused on that grind when I think half of the Sixers will. They have gone through some pain and anguish. They were really bad for a long time. It's not the same animal. So in my opinion, I think both of you make very elegant arguments and eloquent ones about why they're good. And I'm a huge fan of Brett Brown. And I feel like that maybe is the most important story of the last few years is here's a franchise that didn't quit on their guy when they couldn't win and didn't just look for a scapegoat when the process seemed not to be working well, which of course we know it did. And the benefit is that they have a continuity there with him that they wouldn't otherwise have with any other coach on the planet. But I still think that they're going to have to go through a nightmare series, lose in 4 or 5 or 6 games or whatever, maybe even 7. And next year they'll just be a much more grown-up team. And then the clock is on. Then I think they can be contenders.
So the 95 Orlando Magic, that is what this team reminds me of. You have the Shaq, the 23-year-old Shaq, when he beat Michael Jordan, and that Magic team beat Michael Jordan in the playoffs. I know Michael was coming back.
Games. Yep.
But, I mean, Michael was Michael. He dropped 48 points in his game 1 against the Hornets that postseason. He was coming back from the injury, but Michael was Michael. And I'm sure at the time, it was a little too young for me. I'm sure at the time people said, as long as Michael Jordan's healthy, he's getting to the finals in the same way that we're doing with LeBron James. And that Magic team, led by a big point guard in Anthony Hardaway, a 23-year-old, and Shaq, a 23-year-old, 2 young studs, beat Michael and the Bulls. It was amazing in the second round of the playoffs. And they went all the way to the finals and they got their asses kicked. My thing is, I would normally, under normal circumstances, say there might be too green. They're too young. They have Saric, Ben Simmons, and Embiid. Saric. They're all like 4 of them are 25 or younger, right?
But Covington's never done anything in the playoffs.
Right. So the Magic, that team, why it's different. That Magic team got their asses handed to them the year before that. I think they got swept by the Pacers against Reggie Miller in the year before that Magic team. So going to your corollary of you have to fail to succeed, they haven't gotten there yet. But I will point out that even Michael Jordan, was vulnerable at this stage of his career with the Bulls. So this whole thing about LeBron is invincible and he's always going to get to the finals. Don't pick against LeBron. This Cavs team is garbage defensively. And I don't know if they're going to be able to guard Philly for 7 games. I don't think it's going to happen. You know what? I'm staking my claim right now. Philly's my pick to reach the finals. Kevin, are you with me?
I mean, I still lean Toronto just because I like what I see. And not necessarily because
hold on, Kevin. Is Kyrie and Marcus Smart, are they out for the playoffs?
I have no idea. Who the hell, Tom? You're getting to the bottom of this. I don't even know who's like. It's funny. I was on a show this morning. I guess I've been sort of in a writing bunker the last 36 hours, and I didn't even know that Damian had sprained his ankle on Tuesday night, and that was the first question to me. I just can't even keep track.
Right.
Yeah, the injuries are bad. The injuries are bad.
I still like Toronto, even if Kyrie is healthy. I just like what they do, and I think they have a lot of the attributes of God. Did you watch their game last night, David?
I watched part of it. Yeah.
Ooh, there was like a stretch toward the end of the third quarter. There was this beautiful 2.5 minutes of basketball I've seen any team play this year. Just like Ibaka hitting Nogueira on a cut off of a high low. Like it just absolute 5 or 6 sequences. Of course, no free throws, no stoppages. It just flowed. And it was as beautiful an exhibition of basketball as I've seen any team, including the Houston Rockets, administer this year. And it was administered. It was just it was so precise and so beautiful. And guys that I don't generally associate with that kind of selflessness, just completely giving up the ball to guys on the move who were open, and against a Boston defense that generally plays with a great deal of integrity. Yeah. So man, I still like what Toronto does. I know they had a couple hiccups the last couple of weeks, so I'm not ready yet, Tom. But I would take them over Cleveland. Actually they wouldn't match up, would they? Unless they're the 4 and the 5. But I would take them against everybody but Toronto.
See, I agree with Tom's assessment of Cleveland. I think a lot of us do. I wrote about it for my Flow Hoops piece yesterday. That it just exactly what Tom said. That the conventional wisdom going in. In fact, I even grabbed an old YouTube clip of the movie. Remember Men in Black?
Yeah.
So there's this great scene. I wrote about it in my book, actually, and Henry and I used to always talk about it. With the 1,500 years ago, everyone just knew the world was flat, right? And 500 years ago, everyone just knew the Earth was the center of the universe. Imagine today. And then he says, well, 15 minutes ago, you just knew we were alone in this universe. Imagine what we'll know tomorrow. So I actually put that clip on the piece because of everyone just knows it's going to be Golden State versus Cleveland. And I actually picked the field on both sides. I think Toronto's the best team in the East, have gone through all the pain and anguish they need. And I know they just lost to Cleveland twice in the last week or so. But I looked up the play-by-play of those games. And you guys won't be surprised at this, I know. Cleveland, we know, has major defensive problems. And I thought David Griffin was incredible on our show 2 weeks ago, Tom, maybe even last week, I don't remember, where he talked about Tyronn Lue. 2 weeks ago. We had Bontemps last week. Tyrone shows up in the postseason for defense in a way he doesn't do in the regular season. I think it was really insightful stuff. But there's that foundation they're missing because they just haven't played together long enough. And so if we know defense is a problem, and then you go check out Toronto, they have a lineup, Kevin knows this, where they go 3 guards, DeRozan, Van Fleet, Lowry, with Ibaka and Valanciunas. That's like the second best offensive lineup in the league. And they haven't played it against Cleveland. You think that's by accident?
Nope.
No.
Oh, that's interesting. That's really interesting.
Postseason
I had no idea.
Look a lot different. And I don't know that I'd pick Philly over Cleveland. The great news is we don't have to do that now because they've got to win some other games first. And let's see who's healthy. If we've learned anything, the three of us, if we've learned anything about studying the NBA postseason, is just wait until the series actually starts. Who flipping knows who's going to play in these games, right?
I got to tell you, there are very few Toronto Raptors lineups I don't like. I just there are any combination of players that it just works. The Cleveland thing is interesting because I feel like we've all gotten burned. I've gotten burned. I mean, I was of the belief in 2015 that you can't, because of if you take the positivist approach and say, hey, it can't happen if it hasn't happened. Cleveland came into the playoffs with the 19th or 20th ranked defense when they finished like 7 or 8 games behind Atlanta that year. Right. And I was just convinced that the defense wasn't there. I don't think it looked as absolutely abysmal as it does this season, but it was just not of playoff caliber. That's even last season. It's like they have demonstrated that the hardest thing to do is to extrapolate on Cleveland Cavaliers regular season defense and have any idea what they're going to do in the postseason. Like like they have proven that flip switching is not just a possibility, but it's actually kind of part of the program. And so I think there is this sense that I'm not ready to pick against them, because if LeBron decides he wants to be a top 3 defender, is there anybody in this conversation like who says he can't do that every other night for 8 weeks? Like, I mean, I'm not, I'm just not going to say otherwise. And it's a very hard thing to predict, because it's not that, I'm not going to bet against LeBron. I don't know that Cleveland Cavaliers regular season defensive performance is an indication of anything meaningful. And it hasn't demonstrated over time that it's a demonstration of anything terribly meaningful, especially in the Eastern Conference bracket. So what am I supposed to make of that? I know it's terrible. I watch it. It's awful. Like, is it? But I don't know if that has any sort of predictive value.
And LeBron has yet to play a season where he's appeared in all 82 games. He's on schedule for that now. Yep. He's gonna have to carry the defense like never before, in part because of what we said. They just haven't had, basically practice time in the NBA or games, and they just don't have that many games where everyone's playing. And Luke can change the sets if he wants to. You still have to have that fundamental base where everyone kind of connects and knows what each other's doing. Have you guys read the Culture Code?
Yep.
Which one is that?
Do you remember he talks about how starlings, but we're back to birds, how they, avoid a hawk where there might be thousands in the air, and they all seem to move as if they're one unit. And that's how they confuse the hawk. And the way they just do that has been deduced is each starling is just connected to the 5 or 6 nearest starlings to him or her. And then that's how thousands can move as if they're one organism. And it's such a beautiful euphemism for what we talk about defensively, with exceptions. There are exceptions where you put a defender on an island and say, you just have no help responsibilities at all. Don't let this guy score or catch the ball or whatever. Post up. Don't let him drive. But typically it's 5 guys connected by a taut piece of rope, as Tom learned in high school basketball, I'm sure. Bobby Knight. That takes a long time to connect with the hundreds, if not 1,000 different variables any team faces on a given night based on actions and personnel on both sides. And they just don't have that. And so maybe LeBron is so great defensively when he wants to be that he can make up for that. I'm arguing that they don't have Kyrie. And so offensively, he's going to have to do a little bit more. And he's played 82 games. And I think their competition is better. And so I'm getting to this. So, Tom, your point is just because LeBron's there, they have to make it. I know you don't agree with that. If we can agree that LeBron's not going to make the next 30 Eastern Conference Finals and win them, what's the number? 5, 20, 8? If we know he's not always permanently going to win the Eastern Conference, at some point, when is that date? Why can't it be this year?
In other words, this is a finite phenomenon. It's going to end at some point. Right. Why not now?
Right. There's no law that says that it has to happen. In fact, we can say it's not going to happen. Even if we just say until he's retired, it's unlikely he's going to win every single time. So I just feel like it's a silly argument. I know you guys aren't making it. You're not silly guys. And I'm also setting this up. If they do, and Toronto and Boston and Philly stay healthy and Cleveland still wins, good for LeBron. That's just, to me, that's a beautiful story too. But it's not written in stone. This is not a movie script. He's got to go out and do it.
I'm just looking at the fact that he has played a lot of minutes, not just a lot, the most of any player in the NBA this season. And it's going to be something like 300 more minutes than he played last year and 400 minutes more than he played the year before that. So I want to say that he's got enough left in the tank to carry this team to the finals again. But that variable scares me. It does. I mean, I feel like we're in the same situation that the James Harden and the Rockets had last year and Russell Westbrook. They got caught up, I felt like, in the regular season awards or the regular season, the bubble of the regular season where, every night it seems like LeBron James is tweeting or Instagramming himself and his amazing abilities. A highlight here, a highlight there. Look how high I jumped there. # strive for greatness. And I just wonder if he's caught up in the 82 games thing because it's a thing. And because he wants to get into that MVP conversation as much as he can. And I wonder if there's a cost. I don't know how big that cost is, how fresh he's going to be come playoff time. But I don't know. I think that streak ends now of him getting to the finals. And the Philadelphia 76ers are playing well enough to make me feel confident in that. And the Raptors, of course. But the 76ers on this streak look fantastic.
You guys were talking about, Kevin was talking about the ball movement for Toronto and how just they find people out on the move. Watch Ben Simmons play every night. I wrote about him a couple weeks ago where he's great at the hit-ahead pass, which he's not alone in that. There's plenty of guards that do that. Maybe not plenty, but a good number. He is brilliant at the hit-ahead pass diagonally. And nobody throws those passes.
Because LeBron and James. That's about it.
They're so risky. And he puts it on a dime with pace, which it has to be with pace. And it doesn't always result in a basket for the guy who throws it to. But then when you change, I call it changing boxes. I always say the court's divided into two long rectangles. I got that from Bob Huggins many years ago. And it's a great way to teach defense. Just always make sure you're on ball side box, with some exceptions. But we also offensively try to tell our players to change boxes, because what happens is a lot of defenders don't go with you. And so that's how, if you start on one box and finish on the other, those lazy defenders that were on the first box you were in and don't jump the other box, they're not there to help. That's why you get your layup.
Isn't that part of why people think Thibodeau's defense doesn't work in today's NBA? Is just the ability to swing the ball quickly onto the weak side and then just attack?
No,
strong side defense with 3-point shooting.
I had that discussion with an assistant coach yesterday.
You should be able to do it still, but that's always been why at every level of basketball since I was a kid, because this was all Bobby Knight. All this is loading ball side is all Bobby Knight, Hubie Brown stuff from the 70s. It just, and probably someone was doing it before that, but when I was playing basketball in the late 70s for a Bobby Knight disciple coach, we had to watch Indiana University play every game. They were on CBS, and so it's just, and read every book that was about them. I have all of Bobby Knight's books in my library. So it's not new, but yeah, the more you move it side to side horizontally, the more you take advantage of lazy defenders. Or you can seal guys too when you swing. But Simmons, his ability to do it to guys on the fly, and now defensive-minded players who are suddenly out of the ball side box have to jump into ball side box, and then they can't rotate back in time, or the next rotation doesn't get there. And so it gets shots for someone, which is really, remember when Pop was once asked, why is Kawhi Leonard scoring, which maybe seems ironical to say this story now, considering everything happening there, but he was asked, how is Kawhi scoring so much? He said, well, when he learned that when I run a play for him, it's for the Spurs to score, not for him to score. His point was, Kawhi realized finally that when coach calls my number, I just have to make the right play. If I make the right play, the ball will come find me again, because defense will adjust one more time to the other guy. And eventually you catch him in a slow rotation, and that's how I get my buckets back. When I just try to score off the play call for myself, I'm dealing with the defense. So what Simmons is doing is take advantage of that same thing. He doesn't necessarily get the bucket for the guy who catches his pass, but someone's going to get a great shot because of it. And as long as they continue to push in the postseason, which I'm guessing they will get some shots they otherwise wouldn't get, because the clock's going to wind down and teams be more ready to defend them. But that is hard to get ready for, because the ball's flying and it's fluid, and it's easier to guard when it's slow and static.
What'd the assistant coach say? Not that I want to steal any of your thunder there if you're going to write about it.
No. I mean, it's just that it's much harder these days to bring 3 and 4 bodies against a pick and roll. Like you just, you can't do it. That you just have more than ever have to stay out of rotation, and you have to do everything possible, to prevent them. And that defense can compromise, particularly against really good shooting teams. And there's a reason you've seen the league sort of go away from that. There's just, you just can't lead. Zoning up the backside of that coverage is harder than it's ever been, is what he essentially said.
The coach terminology, the coaching speak or coach speak, we'd say to that is, we even back in 1987, my first year of coaching, we rarely saw ball screens, but when we did, my teaching point to my 14 and 15-year-olds who are now in their 40s was I yell out 5. That was what every time I saw a ball screen, I yelled 5. And it was a message of all 5 guys have to be engaged to defend this ball screen. Well, now you've got to try to solve ball screens with 2.
Right. And that's exactly what he said. You have to play a ball screen 2-on-2. That's essentially what he said.
That's right. That's what we're talking about, is how do you solve the ball screen with just 2? There's lots of different options. None of them are really so easy unless you have a gigantic Rudy Gobert dude at the rim, which is why Embiid and Gobert and, in my opinion, Nurkic probably deserve the top 3 votes for Defensive Player of the Year, because no matter what you're doing in the perimeter, you still got to deal with those big sumbitches at the rim. And that's a big advantage to you. Kirilo Fishenko should have focused, because he'd still be in the league right now if he wanted to.
Hey, Kevin, we always talk big picture NBA stuff here on this pod, and we always do it with you as well. So I want to get your take on right now, Tankapalooza. Teams, it's not good. It's not good, this backwash of the schedule where teams are regularly resting guys. You saw last night the Orlando Magic against the Dallas Mavericks. The Mavericks coming on a second game of back-to-back, rested 4 of their starters. They played J.J. Barea. They rested Harrison Barnes. Found out today that Dirk Nowitzki just had minor ankle surgery. So best wishes to Dirk. Want to see him back on the floor next year all healthy. But you're seeing the Memphis Grizzlies are basically benching Marc Gasol after the 6-minute mark in the third quarter on every game. They're not playing him on back-to-backs and haven't done so for a couple months now. It's an eyesore for the league. How do you fix it? Do you think they can fix it?
No, I mean, and look, I could talk about this all day, and they thought that by fixing, by kind of flattening out the odds, that somehow, yet here's the thing they didn't do. They didn't provide an incentive on the other side. Okay, they made the motivation to lose, marginally less appealing, but the motivation to win, what, renewals are going to go up in Atlanta if they win a couple of these games? What is and now Philadelphia has taught us that all that BS about, they're going to institute a losing culture if they keep doing this. No, actually, and I have a big piece I'm working on right now. I mean, as we speak, which is what I'm going to work on when I leave this conversation, about kind of what the Sixers are doing as a team and what they built during those lean years. And this idea that, they were producing a losing culture is garbage. And in fact, quite the opposite. But they haven't really instituted upside incentive for winning these games, other than the ability to say, hey, we won. I mean, they just haven't. And so, I would say a couple of things. I mean, one is if you shorten the season, you would have, I think in general, late March, early April basketball is just awful. I know there's this scrum for the Western Conference 3 through 8 seeds, and I guess it's been somewhat fun for the 6 markets that are involved. But I mean, you could just get rid of this part of the season, and therefore nobody's playing out the string, because the season games mean more, and teams wouldn't fall out until pretty late in the game, or late in the season rather. But I think the other thing is just, we have to look at the wheel. We have to look at, this is not going to change. They can try to flatten the odds, make it, you're only going to get top. You're not guaranteed any higher than 5th or 6th now or whatever. But until they stop incentivizing losing, and in fact, the success of the Sixers, I argue, is even more fodder for teams to do it. They look at what can happen when you get year after year of that. Hey, you can even miss sometimes, as they did with Okafor and Nerlens Noel and others. And so I just think that nothing's going to change, and that they don't want to have a serious conversation about shortening the season because of revenue. They don't want to have a conversation about a wheel or
getting rid of the draft.
So they don't want to have a conversation about draft reform. So you can deal with the fact that the product is an absolute abomination, a joke, for the better part of a month. And they can just deal with that, and they can try to answer to their fans why they come to see Marc Gasol and don't see him, or to the extent anybody ever goes and sees Marc Gasol. I just, but it's just we keep having the conversation, and they keep obfuscating what is so manifestly obvious to anybody paying attention, which is just there's no upside incentive. There should be the crapola tournament, or they should just at a certain point in the season just say a cutoff and say, all right, these 10 teams that are in the Tankapalooza, actually, we're flipping it. Winner gets won. I don't know. I mean, you couldn't do that.
So here's the thing, and I'm glad you brought that up, is that it's a Bill Simmons idea, the entertaining as hell tournament, NCAA style, just kind of like a fun short tournament at the end of the season. The prize, though, as Brendo, who's in our Discord chat, I don't know if you guys know what this is, but Patreon members, to count the dings, you can link up to Discord. It's an app on your phone, and there's an active chat of just Patreon. So all the subscribers are in there right now, just chatting away. We give them kind of like little trinkets of like, here's the rundown to today's show. They get little behind the scenes stuff. And Brendo, a guy in there, he said, I want to ask Kevin and Coach about the idea of an NCAA style entertaining as hell tournament, with the prize, if you win, being the number one pick, and the top 3 winners of that tournament, or the finishers, have cash incentives for the players. Now, my thing is, this is kind of a sore spot, and it's not something people outside the NBA know, but today's players, they don't care about the number one pick coming in, because what they see is a spot. They see possessions. They see shots going away. So I don't know if players are going to get too excited about playing their ass off at the end of the season for the next guy to steal their starting spot. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what the incentive is, whether it's the number one pick.
Well, the same thing of now you just sort of whack-a-mole, right? Now the Clippers are thinking, do we really want the 8th seed? We're probably the best team in that field. Like, let's just, see you, Tobias Harris. You're going to be restricted to 21 minutes and get the Marcus Alter. I mean, you can play whack-a-mole all day. I mean, I'm all for
unintended consequences of the solution.
Right. Like you can do this all day. I mean, you are rewarding talent to teams that fail, and that is ultimately the problem, right? Like your acquisition of that talent is dependent on the sheer fuckery of your failure, right? And the more failure there is, the better the talent. Like, until that changes, it's just not. I mean, we can play this game all day, and I'm all for an entertaining as hell tournament for the final seed or this or that or cups. I love innovation. I think it's fun. I think there should be different things to win, as Adam Silver is fond of saying. But I mean, at the end of the day, like, the more you fail, the better the talent. And that's how the Spurs got Tim Duncan. I mean, that's how the Sixers are doing what they're doing. Like, it's how the Golden State Warriors, who are one of the most blatant tankers in recent memory, got the pick that delivered Klay Thompson. Like, it is the story. If you look at the story of the NBA, and it is a story of intentional failure to procure talent. And that is the story of the NBA. And I mean, if they're cool with that, just own it. Just stop pretending. Stop sending out these memos to Mark Cuban, who committed the ultimate gaffe. What is a gaffe? It's telling the truth by accident, right? Like stop, wagging your finger or getting GMs fired, because they're being bold about their strategy. Just own it. The more you fail, and back Sacramento, in fact, God forbid you should fail a little less, because then you turn into the Miami Heat. Right? Like better you should not overperform, because how do we reward the fact that you're playing beyond your talent level? Let's screw you. Oh, you're Minnesota, you're Sacramento for years, you're Orlando, you somehow and by the way, by virtue of screwing up the development of this great talent, what's the response? Oh, let's give you more. Let's give the child that intentionally breaks his toys more toys. Like, what parent would ever prescribe this as a strategy to fostering a healthy person? No, Sacramento Kings. You can't develop talent. You've demonstrated 8 years in a row that you'll just squander these picks. I mean, Darren Fox looks great. I think they're turning over a new leaf. They have better coaching now, et cetera. But let's continue to reward. Oh, you fucked this one up. Here's another. Oh, God. And by the way, if you don't fuck it up, we're not going to give you another one. It's just madness. And it's just the fact that this is not looked at with absolute absurdity by rational, right-thinking people is just kind of hilarious, because they like to see guys in suits. Look happy, because it's a fun Thursday afternoon in June. Ooh, it's cool. I mean, it's hilarious.
I want to say a couple quick things on the subject, starting with, I remember the article Bill wrote regarding the tournament, but I would tell you both to contact our dear friend, Mr. Abbott, and ask him who's the first person to ever talk to him about that kind of tournament.
Oh,
I'm not saying Bill took it from me because I don't remember if we did it publicly or privately on a phone call. I really don't remember. But I happen to agree with Bill and thought his article was very entertaining because that's exactly what I said, Henry, more or less. I think we should get rid of the draft altogether. Yep. I think we should be free market. I think it's the only real solution where everyone has a chance and you pay a price for sucking at developing your talent. Look at who's the best defensive point guard in the NBA right now, would you say, guys?
Ben Simmons.
Oh, okay. I'm not counting the freak of Ben Simmons.
The freak. Ben Simmons is so ridiculous.
I agree with you.
We can't even have a debate.
People didn't see that when he was in college. He's Jason Kidd plus 7 inches. But after him, who's gonna be like first team All-NBA defense this year?
I like
Drew Holiday.
I like
Rubio.
DeJounte. I like Ricky Rubio.
How about Murray from the Spurs?
Right. Yeah. That's Kevin Pelton's
DeJounte, what I said. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I would have picked him number one. I didn't realize. Oh, Kevin already did his thing. Okay, so let's just say Murray's one of the few. I don't know how old he is. Maybe he's 22 or so. Anyway, what is he? The 29th pick of the draft.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of those guys out there. The good teams keep drafting them. And if they go to bad teams, they end up sucking. If they go to good teams, they end up being quality starters, if not even potentially all-stars. So the market value would be the same. I'll pay you less because I'll get you paid more long-term because we develop you great, or take the bigger money early in your career and run the risk of being an average player down the road or worse because the team you went to sucks. That's all free market. But to the other part, which you guys are saying in such a great way that I won't be able to say as well, regarding what I call the integrity of the game, which I think most people call it that. How is this less of integrity of the game if we just say, all right, if you're in the bottom, let's call it 12, it's just free lottery. Everyone's got the same odds. So basically you have to make a decision as a franchise.
Right. Do
we want to make a stab at the 8th spot and then not finish in the bottom 10 or 12? Because I do think you don't want to reward the 14, because I think you'll end up having a similar situation as now. But if we just say 8 or 10, you're all going to get equal spot. The other teams that can compete for the 8th spot will, for a lot of different reasons. And if they choose not to, they run the risk of alienating a franchise and also not getting that first or second or third pick because they're losing games, and it's pure odd lottery to win it. And then I would say, I like what Kevin said. I would have a rule. You get 2 years.
Yep.
If you don't make the playoffs for 3 straight years, congratulations. You can only get a lottery pick in that top 10 for 2.
They slot you in at 15 or 16 or they slot you in at 14. You just get to the back of the line.
That's right. That's what I think we should. That's better than what we have now.
Back of the line.
Not as good. Right. Not as good as no draft at all. And I was laughing the other day. I was watching Durant versus Oklahoma City the other day, and I had to just laugh that fans were booing one of the greatest players in the history of the game, a 7-foot skilled freak who is madly in love with basketball and has been for a long time, because he chose not to stay in a city that was decided by a fucking ping pong ball. And they relocated. So he didn't allow his life to be dictated by a fucking ping pong ball. And we're going to boo him for that. How ridiculous is this?
What's ridiculous is that we've gone overtime with Kevin Arnovitz, and you got to go. Kevin, go take that phone call. Thank you so much for joining us, Kevin, and enjoy the birds at the Masters.
I'm going to enjoy all my bird life. I've been born again since the Galapagos Islands, man. Like, birds are cool. Jade Hoy, man. We got to get together.
Bird it up, buddy. Let's bird it up.
Man, come out to California. Let's go birding.
Talking about the ones that fly. All right.
Yes.
I'll talk to you.
See you, Kevin. Talking, Dave, it reminded me of the Hoover Dam clip in the scene in Vegas Vacation, I think it was, where Chevy Chase is like plugging the Hoover Dam with like bubble gum.
Yep.
And it's like, can we just acknowledge that you can't plug the Hoover Dam with bubble gum here?
Right.
It's like, you're gonna have to change the system without, like, the DNP rest rules that Adam Silver came up with this summer were well intentioned, but you're seeing things like Brooke Lopez playing one quarter, all 12 minutes of not Brooke Lopez, Robin Lopez.
Right.
All 12 minutes of the first quarter and then being benched the rest of the game. It's so arbitrary. Like, how is that good? How is that make any sense? And the statement from Adam Silver, which again, well-intentioned, but let's not pretend we have our heads in the sand on the tanking thing. Like the league came out and said, in regards to Mark Cuban's comments about tanking, if we ever received evidence that players or coaches were attempting to lose or otherwise taking steps to cause any game to result otherwise than on its competitive merits, that conduct would be met with the swiftest and harshest response possible from the league office. It's like, I mean, where's the line being drawn? Is is Dirk Nowitzki being benched for offensive possessions in close games? Is that trying to lose? Like most unblockable shot in the game.
Right.
Like Dirk Nowitzki, one of the most clutch players in the game. Like, that's the thing. The 76ers for years under Sam Hinkie did not have a Dirk Nowitzki on its roster. So when we were talking about tanking and trying to lose, there was that missing element of what happens when we have a star player, a guy who everyone is trying to watch win or take the shot in the last second. Kids are in Dirk Nowitzki's jerseys, and that guy's not getting played for offensive possessions or down the stretch. That's tough. That's tough to justify that that's not tanking. And this is Rick Carlisle, who's the head of the coaches union. So he knows all the implications here. And yet it's still happening around the league where Robin Lopez just isn't playing anymore. Marc Gasol is being benched down the stretch in close games in fourth quarters to make sure that he doesn't, win or get hurt. And it's tough.
Well, that team tanked when they fired their coach. The Grizzlies, I know Marc Gasol is getting the blame for it, and maybe he may deserve some. I don't know, but I do know that and I said this at the time. Well, there goes that season, because nothing against Bickerstaff, but their other coach was much, much better. Much, much better. Fizdale, when they fired him, that was it for them. So
it's a tough thing for the league, because it's not Adam Silver's fault. It's what it is he has to obey or work for the governors, the other owners. And it's very hard, as Obama found out and Trump is finding out now. It's just very hard to get everyone aligned for political reasons. And I think it's really hard, especially with the 1-16 tournament, right? Like the playoffs, seeding at 1-16. Why would any Eastern Conference owner be on board with that? Why would an Eastern Conference owner want to flatten out the odds and have to contend with Western teams too? Like, I just don't see the majority of owners going for that kind of legislation, because it's not good for them. It's not good for the majority of the league. It might be good for the West teams, but how is it any good for Dan Gilbert's team not to have LeBron James not have to go against the West every time? So anyway.
Right. Well, just to finish that thought, the only time there really will be significant change is if the fans just decide we've had enough and stop coming and stop watching, because then now it's affecting them in their purse, which is all they care about, which is fine. They're allowed to only care about that. I don't agree with it, but if that's their philosophy, when nobody comes anymore, and I was watching some games last night with my son, and I always just look at the stands first. I don't watch many bad teams play unless they're playing a good team, but even then I try to avoid those. When you see a bad team play at home and the stands are empty, it just makes me sad.
Yep. And it could be better. And I think we'll get there. It's just going to take some time. A question from the chat, the Discord. Dave, Abdi wants to know, what age did you introduce your son to basketball, and when did he start playing in an organized format? A lot of people in the Discord thumbed that one up, upvoted it. They want to hear your thoughts on that, because my daughter, like, I don't know what is considered basketball, because we kind of have like a little put the toys back in the basket game that we play with my daughter, who's 14 months old. Is that basketball? Like those are like underlying like tenets of basketball. So I'm just wondering when did you deliberately choose an age like, oh, my son's 2 years old, it's time to get him a basketball hoop? And how do you feel you did in that scenario?
So really topical question, because I was just talking to my neighbor who's one of our assistant coaches. She and I both help out. She was a former captain of Virginia's basketball team, and she coached in college and then married a great guy, and they live 3 doors down from me, and we're great friends. And I recruited her to help the high school teams that I coach and help, because she's great. And I think it's great to have women coach these young guys. So we were talking this morning because she came to practice last night, and my son's, a real serious player. So I'll go backwards though. Having twins, and you know this with a twin sister, we didn't do any sports stuff those first few years because I only could do something that interested both of them at the same time. And my daughter to this day has no interest in any sports. She loves dance and music. And I first put a pink baseball bat in her hands and a pink baseball glove because he wanted to try some baseball. It lasted a half season, 1 season for her. My son played nothing but baseball for from 5 to 10. And at 10, I let him play 1 year of rec league. I think he played like a 3-week summer league when he was 6 or 7, only because a friend of mine said he needed a spot on the team. I don't think he even dribbled the ball once. So I didn't even count that. So when he was 10, he played for a team that I coached actually. He loved it, but he was a baseball guy all the way by design. My thought was, I kind of see as a dad, and Tom, you're just into this a little bit now. I just always want to try to find ways to build a bridge into my kids' hearts, and you got to do it differently with every child. With my son, I thought sports might be an easy way to build a bridge, and then we'll see if there's other things to do. And so initially it was baseball. In fact, I once told him I never, ever want you to think about playing professional baseball because when you're out of college, I don't want to have to spend every night at home single because your mom divorced me because all I do is watch baseball games or watch you play. I just assume you have a regular job. But baseball is fun. Sport teaches you a lot of things. My thought was, Tom, basketball is such a part of my life. I have to watch it every night. I mean, it's all I do is watch games at night and watch video of games in the morning and write about it and talk about it and podcast about it. I just didn't want him to start it early and then burn out. So when he was 9, I bought him a pole and a basketball and didn't put the rim up till he was 10 and said, if you dribble for a year when you're not playing baseball, which was year round down here, then I'll put a rim up. And then you can play rec ball. So we did a season of rec ball, 9 games, I think it was. And then we held off until he was 12 in 6th grade, where we played AAU. And I got really lucky. And he played 1 more season of baseball while he was doing AAU basketball, and that was it. Baseball is just such a slower sport. And he was better at baseball. And basketball is so fun. So now, when you ask me the question, did I do it right? I don't know. It's still a work in progress. He's turning 17 very soon. We had a tough practice yesterday. I think I was tougher on him. I ran the practice that I probably had been in a while, probably unfairly. And I apologized to him. He came to my office after practice to watch NBA games with me, which he doesn't frequently do anymore because he has his own life. But I could tell he thought that I was upset with them, and I was upset with myself, really. My neighbor called me to say that as I was getting on his ass a little bit of practice, she said you would turn your back and coach the team. He didn't make a face. He didn't make eyes at you. He didn't react. He just behaved so professionally. It made me almost want to cry. And luckily last night I texted him a long message about my dream is not for him to make the NBA. My dream is that he has a long and happy and fulfilling life, and I'm one of his best friends. That's all I care about. And we always have basketball now to connect. He can talk about free agency, Tom, with you, probably as good as half the journalists that you're friends with, not as good as the top ones. He really follows this stuff very closely. He painstakingly drafts people in NBA 2K. He's working on his body all the time. He's working on his game all the time, rain or sunshine. And he's addicted to it. And on a Friday night, you can find my son playing basketball, watching basketball, or playing NBA 2K if it's pouring rain outside with his best friends who are his teammates. And you might find 7 of them at my house ordering 4 boxes of pizza. One of them is 7 feet tall. He's a sophomore. Black, white, Latin, rich, poor, doesn't matter. They're at my house playing hoops. What could I ever ask for better than that? To know my kids and his best friends are in a safe spot, So, yeah, I think I did it right. And I still think we love each other. Hopefully that won't change. And my big thing is don't rush. If they want to play it, if my son picked up a ball at 5 and said, let's go play, I wouldn't have said no. I just didn't introduce it. He saw it through me indirectly and never seemed interested until he was 10. And then I just told him rec ball, you're a local rec league. It just isn't great basketball. It's not real basketball compared to what AAU is in most cases. And so once he was really serious at 12, we found an amazing AAU program of which he's still involved with now. In fact, he has practice tonight in downtown Tampa with those same kids who are now, 6'6" and whatever. They were tiny and five footers back then. All serious players and great students. So the answer to the simple question is let your child dictate. Introduce it to them here and there, but make it fun. It's supposed to be about love more than anything else. And if your kid keeps wanting to go back and play, you're doing it right. And if they don't want to play anymore, it's probably your fault. Maybe it was the kid's fault for finding something else they like better, but it might have been the parent just being too intense too early. You got to kind of time that up. Does that make any sense?
Coach, thanks for coming on. Jade.
Yes. Thank you. Got to get this up. It's an emergency, guys.
Emergency.
All right. Peace.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Later.
everyone. See you. See you. Watching the Masters. Fun. Well, I don't know. It's golf. I'm watching Tiger, really.
I think it's therapy. Masters golf is just therapy. It's just calming. It's nice background noise. It's beautiful. It's something that reminds you of spring. Summer's coming.
Fake bird noises.
Hello.
Fake bird noises. Kevin, do you know about this?
Wait, I thought our thing was is it at 10 or is it 9?
Did I get you at 10?
It's
I
9.
can do it now, and it's not a terrible time. Why did I think it was 10 a.m., 1 p.m.? But that's cool. Whatever. I'm sitting here eating yogurt. So.
You have your mic, Kevin?
Yeah. Why don't I answer on my? I answered on my phone because I was in the kitchen. But hold on, let me.
I'm back to you guys.
All right, I'll call you. I'll call you right back.
Cool.
How long do you need?
Like 90 seconds.
All right, cool.
Get this guy out of here.
Get him out of here.
Oh, I have receipts. I told him noon Eastern time.
Oh, Kevin wasn't ready?
Kevin thought he was going at 1
It
Eastern.
is noon Eastern time right now.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I got receipts. I was right. It's not my fault, Jade.
Sounds like you were admitting guilt.
No.
That's a bunch of fucking bullshit.
Ooh.
Hey, Coach, did you know that they pipe in bird noises onto like golf broadcasts?
Seriously?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
What's next, Dave? What is next?
Where did you hear this? That's
It's
a bunch of fucking bullshit.
It was written up in Deadspinners. One of the outlets got it.
They seriously pipe in birds
I think someone had like listened to it so long that they heard just the loop of it, like it was like a 5-minute loop or something like that, right, Tom? I don't know. Like,
yeah.
And sure enough, the Cardinals were being piped in.
I think this sounds like a conspiracy. Someone's trying to take over the world. I blame Abbott. Look into Hank Abbott.
Hello.
Okay.
Eels.
Hello.
What's up?
Okay. In 2000, the New York Post hired experts to analyze what they were hearing from the birds.
Yeah.
The network came clean, CBS, earlier this week and confessed that it has been mixing in taped sounds of birds singing with live golf telecasts.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine a single person caring about.
I'll tell you this much.
Why are you watching golf?
I love birds, and
I have a friend that does too.
And so when I would watch the Masters, I would hear the birds and I would go, wow, man, that must be so, I don't know. It's creating a certain reality for me, which I don't need. I don't need someone to do that if it's not real.
Jade, how often are you watching golf?
Never. But I watch the Masters. That's what I hear is those beautiful because the Cardinals has such a beautiful song.
Well, I've got all my windows.
I recognize that singing, and that doesn't belong to a bird that lives in Augusta, Georgia.
Right.
No. The Cardinals should be there. That's fine.
I'm sure they are. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a couple conflicting theories on this. One person on Twitter in the discussion said he used to live in Augusta and there aren't birds for miles. However,
that's not true.
CBS during the Masters, Phil Mushnick asked whether the birds are real, and the CBS spokesperson said with mock indignation, but all business clarity, he said, the birds you hear are live and they are indigenous to Augusta.
Liars.
Jade, where are you ruling on this? Fake or real bird sounds on the Masters?
I'm going to listen to it. I'm going to listen to it. Generally what happens is they'll stop it. If they get caught, they stop it for a while. Like, I don't know if you guys remember, but the pink sludge in hamburger meat controversy. They took it away for like a couple months and now it's back. Nobody cares anymore. So I'm guessing they stopped for a little and now they're piping in fake sounds again. But I'm going to listen carefully to this Masters, Tom.
The Post reported that
Westworld to me.
The Post reported that the tape bird calls were used by CBS during the playing of the NEC Invitational, the PGA Championship in Louisville, the Black Open. Not the Black Open, the Buick Open in Warwick Hills, Michigan. Bird watchers interviewed by the Post said the worst part is that someone at CBS didn't research which birds were indigenous to Ohio, Kentucky, and Michigan. One, John Malcolm of Gaithersburg, Maryland, said he heard a canyon wren, which lives only west of Texas, on a Buick Open tape.
That's hilarious.
And a white-throated sparrow.
You cannot fuck with birders; they will get you.
Right. Yes, that's hilarious.
And I'm looking. So Jade, I'm at the AugustaAikenAutobahn.org checklist of birds that are indigenous to. We are journalists here.
Georgia.
Birds that are indigenous to the area. The northern cardinal is indeed indigenous. There's a lot of birds in Augusta.
Yeah. The cardinal flies up and down the East Coast. It's all around the country, really.
You got a blue-winged warbler. You've got the Tennessee. You got a whole bunch of warblers. Like a fucking page of warblers.
You hear a lot at the Masters is the Carolina wren, obviously. It's a beautiful bird. Beautiful song. One of my favorites. It's a little tiny bird, and it's so loud.
Jade, not to be confused with the Carolina chickadee, which is also present.
Ooh, nice.
Real quick,
I didn't know there was a Carolina chickadee.
On the subject of birds, let me just tell you guys this. I am a proud father of a baby bird.
Are you?
A tiny bird.
You impregnated a lady bird?
Let's just say we host a bird who decided to nest.
You adopted
in one of our little shelves in our garage. My wife found the bird. Before she had a chance to take the nest out, there was a tiny little egg in there that looked real. And so, as what a woman like my wife would do, she put newspapers all around the nest so the bird wouldn't see me as I walked in and out of my office. And yesterday, the egg hatched, and we now have a baby bird that is always hungry. I don't know what's going to happen when it gets old enough. Because I'm not letting this thing stay in my garage forever.
Let me tell you this. So we had a nest of baby birds in one of our little houses in our yard, which is actually attached to our house. And it was so cool. I think there was 4 or 5 of them last year. And then one day I came outside and I saw a snake.
Yeah.
On the porch, dead, with a bubble in its belly. Like, it was weird. You couldn't tell what was going on. And then I later figured it out. Like, he attacked the nest, ate one of the birds, and then the mother bird must have come back and killed the snake.
Or it choked on the egg.
Way.
Yeah.
Like,
it was terrible.
Were there wounds?
It was so sad.
Were there battle wounds?
Yeah, the snake was like banged up, It was sad.
Don't fuck with moms.
It was sad. So whatever, if you're gonna do anything, Just watch out to see if there's a snake, the way a snake can
Well,
get
this
to them.
thing's up. This is 6 feet up in the air in our garage. No snakes going near it. That's why these birds are brilliant. It shows a very safe spot. Because I live in Wild Kingdom. We have owls and coyotes and gators and everything else. This little bird's going to live to be about 112.
Yeah. See, I chose the spot for the birds with the way I placed the house. So, anyway, Kevin, can you turn down slightly?
Turn down.